Today we're continuing to read the Pilgrim's Progress, and so they did. Therefore he was presently condemned to be had from the place where he was, to the place from whence he came, and there to be put to the most cruel death that could be invented. They therefore brought him out to do with him according to their law. And first they scourged him, then they buffeted him, then they lanced his flesh with knives. After that they stoned him with stones, then pricked him with their swords, and, last of all, they burned him to ashes at the stake. Thus came Faithful to his end. Now I saw that there stood behind the multitude a chariot and a couple of horses waiting for Faithful, who, so soon as his enemies had slain him, was taken up into it, and straightway was carried up through the clouds with sound of trumpet, the nearest way to the celestial gate. But as for Christian, he had some delay, and was sent back to prison. So he there remained for a space. But he who overrules all things, having the power of their rage in his own hand, so wrought it about that Christian for that time escaped them, and went his way. And as he went, he sang, saying, Well, Faithful, thou hast faithfully professed unto thy Lord, with whom thou shalt be blessed, when faithless ones, with all their vain delights, are crying out under their hellish plights. Sing, Faithful, sing, and let thy name survive, for though they killed thee, thou art yet alive. Chapter 7. Now I saw in my dream that Christian went forth not alone, for there was one whose name was Hopeful, being so made by looking upon Christian and Faithful in their words and behavior, in their sufferings at the fair, who joined himself unto him, and, entering into a brotherly pledge, told him that he would be his companion. Thus one died to show faithfulness to the truth, and another rises out of his ashes to be a companion with Christian in his pilgrimage. This Hopeful also told Christian that there were many more of the men in the fair that would take their time and follow after. So I saw that, quickly after they were got out of the fair, they overtook one that was going before them, whose name was Bayans. So they said to him, What countryman, sir, and how far go you this way? He told them that he came from the town of Fair Speech, and he was going to the celestial city, but told them not his name. From Fair Speech, are there any that be good live there? Yes, said Bayans, I hope. Pray, sir, what may I call you? I am a stranger to you, and you to me. If you be going this way, I shall be glad of your company, but if not, I must be content. This town of Fair Speech, I have heard of it, and, as I remember, they say it's a wealthy place. Yes, I will assure you that it is, and I have very many rich kindred there. Pray, who are your kindred there, if a man may be so bold? Almost the whole town, but in particular my Lord Turnabout, my Lord Time-server, my Lord Fair Speech, from whose ancestors that town first took its name. Also Mr. Smoothman, Mr. Facing Both Ways, Mr. Anything, and the parson of our parish, Mr. Two Tongues, was my mother's own brother by father's side. And to tell you the truth, I am become a gentleman of good quality, yet my great-grandfather was but a waterman, looking one way and rowing another, and I got most of my estate by the same occupation. Are you a married man? Yes, and my wife is a very virtuous woman, the daughter of a virtuous woman. She was my Lady Faining's daughter. Therefore she came of a very honorable family, and is arrived to such a pitch of breeding that she knows how to carry it to all, even to prince and peasant. 'Tis true we somewhat differ in religion from those of the stricter sort, yet but in small 2 points. Yet but in 2 small points. First, we never strive against wind and tide. Secondly, we are always most zealous when religion is well dressed and goes in his silver slippers. We love him much to walk we love much to walk with him in the street if the sun shines and the people praise him. Then Christian stepped a little aside to his fellow hopeful, saying, "It runs in my mind that this is one Bayan's of fair speech. And if it be he, we have as very a knave in our company as dwelleth in all these parts." Then said Hopeful, "Ask him. Methinks he should not be ashamed of his name." So Christian came up with him again and said, "Sir, you talk as if you knew something more than all the world doth, and if I take not my mark amiss, I deem I have half a guess of you. Is not your name Mr. Bayans of fair speech?" "This is not my name, but indeed it is a nickname that is given me by some that cannot abide me, and I must be content to bear it as a reproach, as other good men have borne theirs before me." "But did you never give an occasion to men to call you by this name?" "Never, never. The worst that ever I did to give them an occasion to give me this name was, that I had always the luck to jump in my judgment with the present way of the times, whatever it was, and my chance was to gain thereby. But if things are thus cast upon me, let me count them a blessing, but let not the malicious load me therefore with reproach. I thought, indeed, that you were the man that I heard of, and to tell you what I think, I fear this name belongs to you more properly than you are willing we should think it doth." "Well, if you will thus imagine, I cannot help it. You shall find me a fair company keeper, if you still admit me your companion. If you will go with us, you must go against wind and tide, the which, I perceive, is against your opinion. You must also own religion in his rags, as well as when in his silver slippers, and stand by him too, when bound in irons, as well as when he walketh the streets with applause. You must not impose or lord it over my faith. Leave it to my liberty, and let me go with you. Not a step further, unless you will do in what I declare as we do." Then said Bayans, "I never desert my old principles, since they are harmless and profitable. If I may not go with you, I must do as I did before you overtook me, even go by myself, until some overtake me that will be glad of my company." Now I saw in my dream that Christian and Hopeful forsook him, and kept their distance from him. But one of them, looking back, saw 3 men following Mr. Bayans, and behold, as they came up with him, he made them a very low bow, and they also gave him a compliment. The men's names were Mr. Hold the World, Mr. Moneylove, and Mr. Save-All, men that Mr. Bayans had been formerly acquainted with, and correction 4, in their boyhood, they were schoolfellows, and taught by one Mr. Greatman, a schoolmaster in Loughgane, which is a market town in the country of Coveting, in the north. This schoolmaster taught them the art of getting, either by violence, cheating, flattery, lying, or by putting on a pretense of religion. And these 4 gentlemen had learned much of the art of their master, so that they could each of them have kept such a school themselves. Well, when they had, as I said, thus saluted each other, Mr. Moneylove said to Mr. Bayans, "Who are they upon the road before us?" For Christian and Hopeful were yet within view. And that's the end of the reading for today. Have a good day.